All right, welcome everybody to the April 14th Administrative Services Committee meeting. We'd like to get started, approval of the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Privilege of the floor. Is there anybody here to speak to us about anything? Seeing no one, we'll close the privilege of the floor. Proposed resolution, number 1, amend the capital project accounts, Jamestown Community College.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kathleen Dennison. I'm the interim vice president for finance and operations at Jamestown Community College. And I did pass around a handout to facilitate discussion of this resolution. I probably should have put Jamestown Community College somewhere on this piece of paper.
We'll have to reject it until you.
That's right. So it's also called the Learning Commons Project, which is also our library. So that's the name of the project. So I'll refer to that in just a minute. So the resolution that you have in front of you is asking to increase the budget for one of our projects, which is the Learning Commons Project, and also decrease the budget for a project that we recently completed. And that project, it's labeled the Community Services Center demolition. That project actually is asbestos abatement in a building across the street from the main campus. And that project is completed and it is under budget. So we are proposing to, as I said, increase one project and decrease the budget in the other project, and hopefully use some of the funds from decreasing that project to assist us in this new project. So on the handout that you have, the first block of numbers is the original budget for this project, and this project is to do a major renovation of the Learning Commons, which is inside the Hultquist Library building. The project involves removing all of the carpet, which is, I think, 30 years old. Also renovating and changing the configuration of some of the IT offices within that space. And the library is also going through a major gleaning of its book collection. A lot of the books, since they all had to be moved to do the carpet, they are reducing the number of books in the stacks. But unfortunately, when the carpet was removed, asbestos was found underneath the carpet. And there's a significant expense involved in abating that asbestos. We have to do it. There is no choice but to do it. And so we're asking for additional funds to do that, to cover that unexpected expense. So the first column where it says original budget, grand total 572, that's the budget that we had submitted for this particular project, and it was accepted and approved by the county and also by the state. The second column, budget amendments, those are the proposed changes that we would like to make. So where it says Erie Contracting asbestos, that is the amount of the change order with the contractor that's doing the main job. And we have agreed with them on a change order for almost $246,000. But we've also found in doing that in going through that process that we had a fairly substantial amount of contingency built into this project, and so we're proposing to reduce our contingency from $100,000 to roughly $30,000. We still think we need to leave a little bit of contingency in the project, but at this point with Erie Contracting, they also think that they're far enough into the project that they have uncovered the big thing, asbestos, but that there shouldn't be any more major surprises because they're well into the renovations. So we're proposing to increase the budget, and this is the overall budget, county, state, and the college's portion would be an increase of $187,000. The center column is just the state funding piece. When I was here last month, I was asked about state funding for the project. I did get confirmation from the state that it would fund 50% of the increase we're asking for, as long as the county supports or an increase in its budget. So the state will provide the extra money, and you can see in the center of that center grouping, the state would need to add another 93,388. The state will do it, but it's contingent upon the county increasing its contribution. And then the final block is the county figures. So the original budget for this project, county budget, 1/4 of the total budget is $143,000. The asbestos abatement and the reduction in the contingency brings us to a need from the county of $46,694. So that's what we're now asking for an increase for this project. Last month, when I was here, the increase or the request at that time was larger, $68,750. So in the month that has transpired, we've been able to reduce the amount of the increase that we need. And the reasons for that are, again, reducing the contingency, and also we now have a final figure from the asbestos abatement contractor. Last month, it was an estimate of $275,000. Now we know that it's $263,000. So a little bit less from the contractor and a lot less on the contingency. So as I said, we are looking for from the county an additional almost $47,000. So that's the not good news. The positive news is that, as I mentioned at the outset, one of our other projects is going to be under budget, and we would be reducing the county need for that project by $23,500. So putting those two elements together, our ask today from fund balance is $23,194.
So that ask last month was 68,750.
Correct. And I know last month we discussed what are our other options. The other options are to go to use the college has its own capital reserve. So we would have to use funds from that. Either from that, or we could go out to local foundations, asking for assistance from local foundations. Honestly, we have not made that ask of the foundations because we are in the process of doing a large ask from the foundations for the joint facility with the college and the YMCA. So we're worried about a little bit of foundation fatigue. Obviously, that could come from the county as well. So as I say, we're not optimistic about local foundation funding this extra money. And I say if the county does not agree, we would have to fund all $187,000 from the college reserves.
How far along is this project?
It is probably about 50%, maybe not counting the asbestos abatement. Yeah, and last month, we kind of put it on pause, saying, get some more information. And it was also at a point in the project where like a month delay wouldn't be a hardship because they had other work that had to be done while waiting for this decision.
Yep.
So I would say, about 50%. And it is estimated that the project would be, including the asbestos abatement, that we're looking to finish it by the end of June and hopefully sooner.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you going back and doing what we asked of you. And I appreciate the fatigue. I'm going to use that when somebody comes, hey, it's county fatigue. We just,
Yes.
so that's a great, I wrote it down. It's in capital letters.
It's not budget neutral, it's county fatigue.
County fatigue. Yeah, of course, I think we were hoping you would satisfy all the need.
And I should also offer, this was a question asked maybe more by audit and control than by this committee, but when I was here last month, I suggested that we would go out to bid for the asbestos abatement portion. We did not do that because we had already been in discussions with the current contractor about a change order. And I hadn't signed it yet, but we had said we wanted to go ahead with the change order. They were working on the price, and that's why I have got the final change order, got the final price. But we could have gone out to bid, but in accordance with general purchasing laws that we have to follow, since we had an established contractor, we were not required to bid. And the other reality is that since that contractor was halfway through the job, it just would not be practical for another contractor to come in, and do asbestos abatement in the middle of an active project. And our architect, so I asked him to research the change order and make sure he thought it was competitive, and he did that, and he said, based on my knowledge of the market, this is a reasonable expense, a reasonable cost for the work they're doing.
So you can't go back to them and say, it's gotta be $23,194.
No,
less."
unfortunately not.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, Ms. Vanstrom.
I'm sorry.
No, good.
Excuse me. So JCC does have some reserve funds available?
It does, yes,
And if we don't participate, the state gives you nothing?
correct.
So we have to pay the 68.75, or, I'm sorry, the 46, not 46,694?
We're asking for the
24,000.
46,694 as an increase to the county's contribute, the current contribution, which is currently 143, asking for another 47,000.
The JCC can't split that with us?
We already do, we already are.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't, I didn't print out the JCC portion, it's exactly the same as the college. The college and the county portions are exactly the same. So, yes, JCC, if the county participates, JCC would be putting in an additional
46.
$46,000, yes.
Thank you.
And JCC would have the same effect with the project, the asbestos abatement project that's completed. We had planned to spend 87,000 of our reserves, and we're only spending 64,000. So we save a little bit on the one that is completed as well, as does the county.
I understand.
Now, so if you guys never used your contingency fund, just theoretically, and that $26,000 is still there at the end of the project, does that come back to the county?
It would, yes. Because, yeah, if the project comes, if we don't touch the contingency, I mean, that's a really good question, yeah. If the contingency is not touched, project, you up the project now, that contingency isn't touched. Of course, that's 26,000 across state, county,
Right.
college.
Yeah.
But 25% of that would come back to the county, yes. Yeah, 50% back to the state.
So even if we gave you this $23,194 and you don't use any more of the contingency, we are still going to get back almost $7,000.
Only 7, yeah. Mhm.
All right.
At that point, we're looking at closer to 15,000 instead of 20.
Sorry.
Just want to clarify, it would just be unspent. We don't give them the money up front.
Right.
They get reimbursement, so it would just be unspent.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The appropriation or we would request 7,000 less in reimbursement.
Okay.
Okay.
So looking at it now, we're, in theory, only giving $15,000 by the end of the project, give or take.
That's a
Possibly.
positive way to look at it, yes.
It's a positive possible.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
I would say my only concern is I know we kind of didn't take action on this last month because it was somewhat frowned upon to fund the overages on JCC's projects that couldn't be covered from other projects. Obviously, JCC is beneficial to us in the community, and we are the giant stakeholder in whether you get any funding or not. guess I don't have a firm opinion one way or another right this second. But I get it's in a tough spot to where your project's at a pause one way or another. And obviously, with the Y project, we were in support of that as well. But what does the rest of the crew have to say?
That's my question. That's not my question. Who's the chairman? Well, I appreciate you going back and doing what we asked, and I'm at this point satisfied, so I'll be voting in favor of this. So if there's no other comments or questions, all in favor say aye.
Just please watch next time.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
But we may be fatigued next year.
Yes.
If I'm wearing my fatigues, you know what?
Okay, well, I'll notice the problem.
Boy, this microphone is crisp tonight. Okay, next resolution, number 2. Amend 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations miscellaneous department.
Hello, Kitty Crow, Director of Finance. This is one of our year-end resolutions for 2024 that is amending the budget due to the surplus of sales tax we received that we pass on to the municipalities. So from an accounting perspective, we receive the funds back from the state but pass them on to the municipalities. So because in total we received more sales tax than we originally included in the budget, the amount that we have to pass on to them is more. So this just balances out those two accounts.
So we're giving the municipalities more than we had budgeted for.
Well,
mean, whether we-
whatever we set our budget, their
Right.
corresponding amount is also budgeted as an expense and a revenue.
Yes. So this is a good thing for the municipalities.
Yeah, they also,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, I'm trying to, yeah, okay. I'll stop talking. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Oh,
I'll just add, what we budget based on our estimates is not necessarily what they might have budgeted for themselves to receive. So
Right.
just keep that clear.
this is what they're getting. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Proposed resolution number 3, setting the salary for chief paramedic.
Noel Gutman, Director of Emergency Services.
Bonnie Peters, Principal Account Clerk, Emergency Services. So we're here today to ask about setting the salary for a new position for us. It would be for a chief paramedic. This is I'm going to say it, budget neutral proposition. We had already put this in our budget as a grade 17 last year. So it was fully funded this year as a grade 17. But in speaking with Noel and talking with HR, we proposed to have it be a grade 20. And part of that would be this position will cover all of the on-call time other than 1 week a month that Noel will cover. So we will not be using on-call pay, which will help to subsidize the difference between the 17 and the 20. Although in the pay schedule, it doesn't change, it just changes the grade to a lesser step. So ideally, it would have been a 17 grade 11, where this would take it to, a 17 grade 8. this will go to a 20 step 5. So for the next, 3 years, it won't change anything over what it would have anyway, so. And as you can see, and Noel can talk about that more, but as you can see from the resolution, this, I feel, is a critical position in the growth of emergency services. This position will work directly with Noel, but will also be responsible for items in the community, as well as overseeing all of the department staff that we have, the EMTs and the paramedics. Well, it will also oversee so currently we have 3 senior paramedics. One of those positions will just be an upgrade. So there will still just be the 2 senior paramedics and the 1 chief. So it's not an additional position. It is just a changing of the position and giving them more duties along the way.
As our operation has grown over the years, we want to try and maintain an effective span of control for our supervisors to our employees. And right now, that span of control is about 1 to 20. And, a realistic span of control by every educated train of thought and aspect is, and under incident command systems is 3 to 7, with ideal being 5. And we're operating way outside of that. And this is expansion, proper expansion to justify the duties they're doing and to help run the operation in a more efficient manner.
All right, just bear with me 1 second. I just want to, so you said this is a grade 20, step 5?
So based off of the information that was put in when we contacted HR about it, it would have to be a person who is already here. So it won't be an outside person coming in at a 20, beginning step of 3. So based off of the qualifications that it would take for a person to get this position, that is where we feel it would fall, is
Okay,
at
and
the
that-
5.
So 20, step 5, and it was a 17, step 8.
So,
My question is, I'm sorry, Bonnie,
No, it's okay.
you're telling me more than, this is just me asking, so 20, step 5 is an actual hourly rate, yes? It's in this range of 30.51 to 40.26.
that's correct, yes.
What is it? Do we know that actual number?
So according to the CSEA contract, all grades start at a step 3
Okay.
and go up to a step 11. So
So
it
do
is-
we know what this 20 step, I'm doing this so I don't have to ask you next time.
Okay,
Do we know what that is per hour? The 20 step 5?
yes, 20 step 5 is $33.07 an hour at this year's rate.
And what's 17 step 8? Am I correct on
It's the
that?
same, it's the same.
It's 3307.
So.
I don't understand any of this. I'm just trying to understand
It
some of
is,
it.
okay, so currently, a senior paramedic is a grade 14, and they can go up to an 11.
Okay.
So right now, we have 3 seniors, and they are somewhere in the vicinity of a 14 step 8 to a 14 step 10. And so currently, that is about $31.62 an hour, depending on where they fall in there.
Okay.
But when we did our budget for this year, we had already talked about having this position, but we hadn't worked out what all it was going to entitle. So we had put it in our contract as a grade 17.
Okay.
So based off of our CSEA contract, it says that when a person gets an increase, they get at least 80 cents more than they made prior. So if we look at this it will go up, because the next step doesn't take us to 80 cents. So this position, we are guesstimating, is gonna get another $1.45 an hour.
I'm not
Yes.
trying to go after pennies here. You made the statement that Noel was gonna fill in for that week. And I was trying to do the quick math, how that would help, but it will, and I get it.
It will.
And I'm good, and thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm where I wanna be right now.
Okay,
With
good.
these numbers.
Okay,
Okay, so this position will entail that that individual be on call 3 out of 4 weeks. And then you'll take over the 4th week.
Correct,
Okay.
right.
So then they'll get a break.
correct.
Right. And so based off of what, again, we had put in for on-call was, when I did the numbers, was roughly 99 cents an hour that we would spend for the on-call time. So really, again, this position is really only going up like 46 cents. But it really was already in our budget because of us, it's just the way the contract is. The grade and the step would be the same this year based off of the 17 or 20. So it really truly was already fully funded at the beginning of the year, just as a grade 17, which would be the same pay for this year.
What gets me, I don't know, but when we see this, a grade 20, 25, and then there's a range, and we don't always ask, I'm better at knowing exactly what it is, because that's $10.
Right. And
So that's why I just wanted to know sort of exactly what it was, and
yep.
again,
You
I
let me
am
know if
so
there's
happy
more
right
info.
now, you
Okay.
wouldn't believe it. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next resolution, number 4, setting the salary for Discovery Facilitator.
Hi, good evening. Jason Schmidt, District Attorney. So a few years back, we had worked with Debbie Mikowski and her staff at HR to bring in a new position to the county. It was in connection with the discovery reforms. We had managed most of the aspects of this in working with our local police agencies. The troubles we were encountering were related to body cams and other forms of digital evidence. And Benjamin Lucas, who at that time had worked for the sheriff's office, had a certain expertise in this, and so we had ended up taking him from the sheriff and brought him in. And recognizing at that time what we thought his role was going to be, HR had determined that the appropriate position was that of a discovery expediter. I think they had looked throughout the state and they had asked me a little bit about the job description as we understood it at the time. The issue that has arisen for us is because those laws that were so dramatic had not been implemented due to the pandemic and the shutdown. It took some time for us to determine exactly what Mr. Lucas's role and responsibilities would be. We have integrated him with the various police agencies, and each police agency has their own server system. And it depends upon what proprietary software they use and what kind of body cams they use. Some of those are a lot easier to interact with than others. Each agency has their own system for managing their digital evidence. Mr. Lucas has now integrated himself into most of our police agencies here in Chautauqua County, especially that of our two biggest, the Jamestown Police Department and the Sheriff's Office. He's also integrated himself in Dunkirk's police systems, their server systems, which is a little bit more unique, and he's had to supervise and manage that. His role is quite different than what we initially had envisioned, in that now he is actually inside police systems, engaged in pulling out their digital evidence and then he manages it for us, and he places it in the individual digital files that are responsible for this, so that we can then disseminate this information to our defense council colleagues. Because that role has changed so dramatically, we had to go back to HR with a new description as to what he does, which is actually much more sophisticated than was originally envisioned. The county, during this interim period, has hired other discovery expediters who primarily deal with not the intake side, but the viewing and the review of digital evidence. There are several of those positions that are filled in the public defender's office, for instance. So with that, recognizing that Mr. Lucas actually has a different set of responsibilities, we've worked with HR and Debbie and her group, and we've come up with the discovery facilitator position, which is a grade 18 position. And that's what we're asking through this resolution, for you to fix a salary for Mr. Lucas, appropriate and consummate with his job duties.
I think one word that you used that is very important is sophisticated. Everything has become more sophisticated. We saw it last month with your need for someone that isn't just, and I'm not gonna label it right, but the job description has become so much more due to the changes in the laws and everything. So, yeah, this makes, at least to me, makes sense to me, so.
Yeah, and I think, jumping on the county fatigue term, this isn't, we're sitting on a number of open positions. We've got 2 attorney positions and 2 paralegal positions that are unfilled, and now, as we are clearly smack in the middle of Q2, I think we're in a very good position. I don't anticipate that changing Mr. Lucas's salary so it conforms with his responsibilities, is not operating out of class in any way, is going to cause us to go into before you again to amend our budget. I think we're going to come in on budget fine. It's just because of the vacancies that we're sitting on right now.
Now, when you said earlier, because I feel like it's the biggest thing we get beat up as the county, is making new jobs and hiring more people. As much as we're creating a new job, we're not taking on another person, correct?
That's right, and so that discovery expediter position would then, I don't know the ins and outs of it, I see Debbie shaking her head like, go for it, go for it. It will eventually fall away, and we will then replace that with the discovery facilitator position.
Okay,
So, yeah.
well, I'm good with that.
The only thing I don't know as I sit here, and I wanted to get the information as I saw you quizzing Mr. Cutman, is I don't know exactly what grade Mr. Lucas is at right now, the digital expediter position.
Right.
I can't speak to that. I don't know offhand, but I believe this might be about 4 levels higher, 4 or 5 levels higher.
Okay.
Well, we gotta take care of them.
I support this. I know the changes have been dramatic and fast, and for your office to have to try to catch up with that overnight is hardly fair, but, so I do support this position.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks.
Thank you.
Resolution number 5, transfer American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA spending plan budgets from 2024 to 2025.
Hello, Kitty Crow, Director of Finance. Blake is not available this afternoon, so I'm stepping in for him. These are all the projects that are continuing on into 2025, therefore we need to carry forward funding and add them to the 2025 budget. As a reminder, all of the funds have been appropriated, so this is just continuing the project to completion like that.
Pretty straightforward, yes?
Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 6, amend spending plan and 2024 budget for Chautauqua County projects funded by the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA.
Okay, so this resolution is to close out a number of projects that were completed in 2024, as well as make a couple of budget amendments. Necessary budget amendments to close out the year.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 7,
I don't think that's me.
supporting passage of A 7251 and S 7149, an act to amend
Sales
the
tax.
tax law in relation to extending the authorization for Chautauqua County to impose an additional 1% rate of sales and compensating use taxes.
I can speak to this one. So this and the next resolution are the sales tax is just a subsequent resolution to one already passed. There's a secondary one. Trying to remember why we had to do that. Hold on.
Chairman, I think I can add to this. Last month, we passed a resolution asking our state representatives to proceed to allow us to continue the 1% sales tax. They have now done that by submitting bills in the Senate and the Assembly. And so now what we're asking is that they support the passage of those bills that they have created to effect what we asked them to do last month.
Okay. Well said.
It's a multi-step process.
Yes.
Good to know that they did what we asked them to do. All right, very good. Does that's the next one also?
Well, the next one's a little different.
A little different, okay, good. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Proposed resolution number 9. Here we go. Supporting passage of A 7256 and S 7195, an act to amend the chapter 405 of the laws of 2007, amending the tax relating to increasing motel taxes in Chautauqua County in relation to extending the expiration of such provisions and to amend chapter 335 of the laws of 2023, amending the tax relating to the allocation of revenue from the hotel and motel taxes in Chautauqua County in relation to extending the expiration of such provisions.
That was great.
So this resolution is in order to request that the state do their part in approving the continuation of our 5% occupancy tax. So there's no proposed change to how it is used, it's just to continue to keep it at 5%.
Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. That brings us to other. Anybody have any other?
None.
Hearing and seeing no other? A motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.